Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Michelle Fun and I'm the author of Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, a survival guide for lovers, family, and friends. And if you want to pick up a copy of this book, just go to Amazon. It's on paperback, Kindle, and Audible books, and I actually read the book to you on Audible. And if you are in a group of family members who want to understand the alcoholic loved one, or if you're an alcoholic in recovery and you want to gift the book to your family members and friends, for copies of 10 or more, please email me at michellefontenauthor@gmail.com. I can give you a discount and I can sign those books to send along to you. So today we are talking about a really super duper important topic. And the topic is let go if you want your alcoholic loved one to get sober. And I've addressed this in other videos somewhat, but I just wanted to make a special video about letting go and allowing your alcoholic loved one to fall on his or her own. And that is what this video is about. It's about letting go. Just let go, you guys. Stop holding on to your alcoholic loved one. Stop holding on. I know you are in pain. I know that you're worried. I know that you're scared. I know that there's a lot of fear there. I know that you believe that you are his or her savior, and you're not his or her savior. There's God for that. There's Jesus for that. You are not your alcoholic loved one's savior, even though you are deluding yourself to believe that you are his or her savior. And believe me, I know from personal experience, my alcoholic loved one, who we are best friends now, and it has transformed our relationship in a great way. He's only been sober a little over 50 days, but he means it this time, and I know that. There have been many attempts at sobriety, which is usually part of the alcoholic story or the addict story. That's a normal thing. Just know that, guys. Know that if your alcoholic loved one has been to AA, has been to rehab, has been to detox, and they have relapsed, that's usually part of an alcoholic story in sobriety. It's usually that they have tried and they have fallen, and that they go back to the drinking or the drugs or both, and then they make attempts at sobriety once again. And usually at some point it sticks. If not, the consequences are typically tragic. Now, that being said, even with tragic consequences, the only way your alcoholic loved one is going to get sober and clean is if you let go. You have got to let go of your grip hold on your alcoholic. You have to. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So my alcoholic, his journey really began in earnest sobriety after I left the East Coast in the Washington, D.C. area, and where he still is, to move to the West Coast, to California. And he even said to me the other day, like, honestly, I really truly believe that if you had not left, that there would have been other devastating consequences for me, that I would have been in a much worse off situation than I am now, that I wouldn't have fallen through with my sobriety, that I would not have followed through with getting myself the help that I need, getting to meetings, getting myself off the alcohol. It is because you left that I am here right now, that I'm here in sobriety right now. And I firmly believe that, you guys. Like, as much as I did research for the book, and I wrote the book, and I did a forum for you guys, and I had the YouTube channel, and the followers, and the advice, and AA meetings, and Al-Anon meetings, and sponsors, and all that, like, as much as I held all of that, and I had all of that, I had a hard time letting go. I had a hard time letting go of him, you guys. It's like, when you love someone so much and you think that you can do something to help them, you want to help them. That is just human nature. You want to help them and you want them to get sober. So you try every possible angle that you can look at to help them to get to sobriety. And I'm here to tell you now that the truth of the matter is that there is absolutely, positively nothing you could even remotely possibly do to try to get your loved one and to be successful at it in sobriety. Impossible. It will not happen. Absolutely not. Every single alcoholic that I've talked to confirms this. Every addict I've talked to confirms this. My alcoholic loved one confirms this, that you could not be smart enough. And that's actually part of a chapter of my book, is like, you couldn't be a perfect 10 or Prince Charming and it wouldn't matter. It does not matter. It would not matter. You could be the best person on the planet. You could be Mother Teresa. It doesn't matter. This disease is so strong and powerful and insane and chaotic and has such a stronghold on your alcoholic that it does not matter what you do. It totally doesn't matter. And some of you out there, and I know this because I've heard these stories. I've heard these stories time and time and time and time and time again, especially when it comes to adult children. So you have a child, they grow up, they get into drugs and alcohol, you realize that they're an addict, and you feel like you failed as a parent. And so as feeling like a failure as a parent, you continue to enable. You give them a place to live. You give them food to eat. You give them money. You subsidize their apartment. You subsidize their living. And you subsidize their addiction. And honestly, every single addict that I have talked to, oh my gosh, this is so true, you guys. Like every single one that I've talked to said, my mom or my dad was the last person to let go. And had they let go sooner, I would have gotten sober and clean. Had they let go of me sooner, I would have gotten sober and clean sooner. So let that be the message to you guys. Now I'm going to be really harsh with you guys. The one bit of feedback that I get from my readers, from you guys on YouTube, is, but if I let go of my alcoholic loved one, they might die. I'm really, really afraid they're going to die. They might freeze to death. They might be homeless. They might not eat. They might starve to death. The likelihood of that happening, if you do let go, it might happen, but it's probably not going to happen. I mean, it's likely that it won't happen as long as nobody else is enabling them as much as you're enabling them to keep the addiction going. Because remember, when you enable, you are keeping that wheel of addiction in motion. You're keeping that thing in motion. You are feeding it. You're giving it fuel to go, go, go. And you might not think that you're doing that, but you're actually doing that. You're giving it fuel to go. But if you pull back and you let go and you say, you know what, you're on your own. I'm sorry. Like, you've got to figure this out. You need to figure out how to get yourself sober and clean, and you need to figure it out. And when you do, when you figure that plan out and you are putting that plan into place, I'm here for you. But until that point, no more money, no more food, no more lodging, no more anything. I'm not going to the store to buy you beer. Nothing, not a single thing, until you pull back completely and start taking care of yourself and start taking care of your children and start taking care of your other loved ones and start taking care of your finances. All of those things, letting go, letting God do his work in your alcoholic loved one. And if it's his destiny or her destiny that they die of alcoholism, that is their destiny. And there is nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it, whether you are with them or whether you're not with them. There is absolutely, positively not a single thing that you can do about it. And the sooner you accept that truth, the sooner you accept that their fate is their fate. That is it. Like, there is not a single thing you can do to change or alter their fate. Then they will likely get better sooner. Like, that is the bottom line, is like, they will get better sooner rather than later. And it's so hard to think like, oh my gosh, that is really cruel. Like, that's mean. That's cruel. Why would you let go when you could help someone? Why would you let go when you could give them money for food? Like, it's just food, or just give them a bag of groceries. It's just groceries, right? Well, you got to think though, if they can't afford groceries, but they can afford alcohol, and they somehow manage to get alcohol, they have the power of manipulation. They can do whatever they want. So they're adults, unless they're not. And they need to fall hard in order to figure this whole puzzle out of their lives. And the more you hold on, the less likely it is that they are going to get better. And that is the case in every single solitary alcoholic and addict's story. Every one of them. The person that was closest to them is the one that held on the longest, and the one that held on the longest was the one that was preventing them from getting sober and clean, no matter what they did. Even if they raised money to get them into the best rehab center on the planet, it still does not change their mindset, because if they're not ready, if they haven't fallen, if they haven't come to that realization on their own, they will go into that expensive, high-end rehab center, the most posh place on the planet, and they will come out in 30 days or 60 days or whatever, how many days that great rehab center is, and they're going to go right back. They're going to go right back to their addiction. It's not a miracle cure, you guys. This is a long-term process. This is not at all like quick fix, turn around, that's it, they're done, all over. It's not like that. Recovery is not like that. Sobriety is not like that at all. It's a long-term commitment. It's a long-term process. And anyone who tells you otherwise, they're lying completely. Because as we talked about in the last video, that all the personality flaws and all of the, and remember, we qualified that, right? We qualified that it's not that alcoholics have personality flaws and non-alcoholics don't have personality flaws. It's just that the nature of the disease is to exacerbate those types of personality flaws that are keeping them in the addiction. So it's those obsessive traits, those self-centered traits, ego-based traits that are just keeping them constantly in the cycle of addiction. So it's like, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, this happened to me, and this is the reason why I need to drink, or this keeps happening, this is the reason why I need to drink. So it's like those personality flaws tend to feed themselves into the addiction, and it creates this vicious cycle of addiction. So it's not that we, as those who don't drink to obsession or use drugs to obsession, that we don't have personality flaws. It's not that. It's just that getting rid of that obsession and all of the other traits that go along with it, it takes time. It's not an overnight thing. It takes time, and it takes commitment, and it takes tenacity, and it takes dedication and responsibility to take responsibility for yourself. And so if you don't let go, you're trying to take responsibility for them when they really need to take responsibility for themselves. And there's nothing, like I said, there's absolutely nothing you can do to help them to take responsibility for themselves and for their sobriety. It won't happen. It's not going to happen. So, hi, my alcoholic loved one, if you're watching. And again, I'm going to protect his name. I'm going to protect his identity until he's ready to come on camera someday, if he wants to come on camera with me. But I know since sobriety, he's been watching my videos. Thank you. And actually, he read my book 3 times, you guys. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And he actually said he loved it. So I'm so touched. He really does think that the book is about him. Now, the inspiration for writing the book had everything to do with him, but the book is not about him. And that's okay. Honey, I'm going to point this out. That is also an alcoholic trait. That they really think that everything revolves around them all the time. That is just part and parcel of the alcoholic addiction, is like everything revolves around them, good and bad. So it's like everyone is always consumed with them all the time, even though that's not true. Everybody's kind of just going about their own lives, worried about themselves. So not about you, and you know who you are, but he read it and he loved it. And it's just amazing to me that this has all come full circle, because I wrote this book starting in about 2015, didn't publish it till, I need to look at the publication date because I don't even know. 2016, there you go, published in 2016. But I think I was writing it between 2014 and 2016. And so he read it and he loved it, and he is sharing it with his AA friends. And so, you know, maybe they can share with their loved ones who don't understand the disease. And actually, the reason I wrote this book, honestly, you guys, was not only to help people who love an alcoholic in their life. And I say love because, like, any relationship that you happen to have, you have love for this person. Why would you have such a hard time letting go if you did not have love for them? I mean, it would be insanity otherwise, right? It still is insanity, but it would be insanity if you didn't love them, even though at times you might think, like, I really hate this person. I do not love them. But actually, the original title of this book was Inside the Heart, Mind, and Soul of an Alcoholic. And when I was trying to get a publishing contract with my publisher, New World Library, they had suggested that that title was more like a subtitle. So we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Ultimately, they passed on the project, which was fine. I ended up self-publishing this book, and actually it was a blessing. It was a blessing that I was able to self-publish this book, because I took liberties to kind of create a very different style book. And you'll see, like, where I interviewed 10 alcoholics in recovery and kind of pieced together their stories in different chapters. And really inside the book, it really is inside the heart, mind, and soul of an alcoholic. So you can really get, like, you can crawl inside of their brain and kind of understand where they're coming from. And so I think that for me, sharing that with my alcoholic loved one in sobriety and being able to have him, like, read and appreciate it, it's about bridging the two sides. So it's about bridging, like, the side of the alcoholic and bridging the side of the person who loves the alcoholic, and kind of meshing those together so that there's this mutual understanding, because there's a lot of misunderstandings in the nature of the disease itself, the attitudes and behaviors within the addiction, and also the relationship itself. And so it's not like they're doing it to you purposefully. And then, like, when you let go, that's another piece of it. When you let go, you're letting them take responsibility for their own lives, and you're letting them be a person. Because when you're trying to guide their every step, and you're trying to manipulate and control their every step of the way, guiding them towards sobriety or enabling them to the point where they can't even function on their own because they're reliant on you. They're reliant on you, even though they were reliant on the alcohol, now they're reliant on you too. And so you're not respecting them as a person. So look at it from that perspective too, is that, like, you're not respecting them as a person. And everybody deserves that type of respect. I don't care if you're a homeless person on the street to a CEO on Wall Street. Like, everybody deserves that respect as a human being, as a person. And so by you letting go, it's like that Sting song or the Police song from the 80s. If you love somebody, set them free. Like, if you love someone, set them free. Let them go. Set them free. Let God handle the details. Let God handle the consequences. And it's those consequences that in turn are going to help to get them better. It's those consequences that are going to help get them better. It's nothing else but those consequences. And you cannot create those consequences. There is no way you could possibly create it. And that you're not God. And God has a greater plan for your alcoholic's life than you could ever conjure up in your mind. It's like, you are not God. Stop playing God. Stop being his savior or her savior. And let go, for God's sake. Just let go. Let go. Let go today. If you watching this video, if you let go today of your alcoholic loved one, there will be way more sober alcoholics and addicts from this point forward than there ever has been because of this educational video on letting go. You have to let go. Please share this video with friends, family, loved ones, Al-Anonics, alcoholics, like anyone who has an alcoholic or addict in their life. It's so crucial and so important to the recovery of this epidemic national crisis that we have in addiction. And if you think I'm joking about the epidemic and the national crisis we have in addiction, go look up statistics. Google it right now, because it is a national epidemic in the United States. Absolutely, positively. Not only with alcohol, we talked about this in the health video, my last video on health. We're talking about opioid addiction, alcoholism, other forms of addiction, but it is a national crisis right now. So thank you so much for joining me. Let go and let God. That is an AA slogan. Let go, let God do his work. Thank you so much for joining me. Share this video with friends, family, other Al-Anon members, people who you know have an alcoholic in their life, and spread the love, you guys. Spread the love on helping others to get sober. Thank you for buying a book, supporting me on Patreon, which is it's like a donation website. So if you love my videos, if you feel that I've somehow moved you, if I've somehow transformed your life in a great way, you can support this channel. You can support me in creating more videos and writing more books that are self-published if you support me on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin, and I will see you in the next video.